Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Friday Charge brought to you by Geek Studios. As always, I'm Sebastian, and I am joined by the one and only Joel Spencer. And today, May 1st, 2026, it's already May. Holy crap. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about, hey, the EV6, finally. We're going to talk a little bit about Toyota. We're going to talk about NACS. We're going to talk about some European stuff just because I thought it was neat. And we're going to talk about FSD Lite. So, without further ado, let's plug in and get started.
All right. So before I let Sebastian talk about the news that he has researched thoroughly today, just want to make an announcement. So as of yesterday evening, I think, Sebastian, our YouTube channel crossed 1 million views. So just wanted to give a shout out to everyone out there who watches our videos. And this is kind of in correlation too with about 3 weeks ago, we crossed 100,000 downloads on our audio podcast. So these two things kind of happen simultaneously. And I just wanted to thank everyone who watches our videos, who comments on our videos, who shares our videos, who hypes our videos. That's the new thing now, to hype videos. So if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget after you watch it to hype our videos. And if you're not subscribed, do that now. And yeah, it's been a crazy journey. I think it's almost 2 years to the date. I think it was May 3rd that I relaunched a podcast and drug Sebastian on here with me because I didn't feel like talking to myself. And I think at that time it was like 150 subscribers and like 3,000 views when we relaunched it. But now look at that, 8,000 subscribers, million views. Thank you all for tuning in, watching our content, letting us know when we get stuff right, letting us know when we get stuff wrong. And we'll hopefully see you again in the next million. Sebastian, you have anything to add before you get to your news topics?
No, I just actually kind of wanted to look real quick. But that would be in 2024.
Yeah, May of 2024. Yeah, that's when it was. And I think I started in 2023, but then took a year off because it was just me and I was starting a new job, so things got busy. And then if you don't know the history, I started up in 2024 and asked Sebastian to come on, and I don't think I officially asked him. I think he just did an episode and I just kept inviting him back. And then he just kind of
basically. And then
he just took over everything and said, he said, I'm running this show now. And I was like, all right, cool. So
you think I'm running the show? That's funny.
I'm just the old man behind the camera. So
see, since then we've added, we would have been at under 100 subscribers by then. So
100 subscribers.
Cool.
Under 100. Yep. All right. I'm going to let Sebastian get into the news, but thank you, everyone. And we'll see you on the next million.
All right, Joel, I have exciting news for you.
Good.
We finally know something about the 2026 EV6.
Ooh.
After what felt like an eternity, which led many to think that the EV6 was going the way of the great dodo bird, Kia this week finally announced pricing for the 2026 model year EV6. So for the 2026 model year, you will now be able to pick up an EV6 starting at $37,900 before destination, which is just about $5,000 less than it was to get the same model in 2025. And as the trims go up, so do the price cuts. The 2026 EV6 Lite long range will start at $41,200, which is $5,000 off. The Wind is now $44,800, which is $5,500 off. And the GT line starts at around $48,000, which is nearly $6,000 cut off of it. At a starting price of $37,900, the EV6 is still on average around $3,000 more expensive than its twin, which I thought was interesting. The Ioniq 5 is starting at right at $35,000 for the SE short battery, little battery. And then it's like $38,000, $39,000 to get the big battery, if I remember correctly. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. And as previously announced, the GT model is just missing from 2026. Well, who knows if we ever see it again. It didn't really sell that good or sell that well compared to what they probably wanted it to do. And so it's hard to justify building it, especially because, as we've kind of talked about before, they moved EV6 production here to the US. Cool. Except for the GT, they were still building the GTs in Korea. And so if you're already not selling that many, it probably doesn't make sense to import them. Anyway, as an EV6 owner, Joe, I thought you might have some opinions on this. I'll just kind of get mine out of the way at first. I'm happy to see Kia maybe isn't killing the EV6. The
Yep.
rumors of its death were greatly exaggerated. Um, I do feel like it's interesting that they waited until May, basically, to announce the 2026 model year. Makes me wonder if it's going to be May again before we hear about the 2027. I'm excited to see, they cut at basically $5,000 off the whole lineup, a little bit more, a little less, depending on what trim level you get. And it's interesting because on paper, this would put it at a much lower price point than, say, a Model Y Standard,
Hmm.
which starts at 39. However, of course, the little battery one only has like 230 miles of range. So I don't even know if that's really, I don't think you can really compare that. There's like a 60-mile difference
Yeah.
between the two cars. But at the same time, the EV6 has a standard ADAS system with lane centering, and it has some other goodies that were standard that you maybe don't get on the Model Y Standard. But the Model Y Standard has much better software, and yeah, it's a toss up between it. But I didn't think it was. I mainly just thought it was interesting that the Ioniq 5 is still $3,000 cheaper, and I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily feel like the EV6 is $3,000 nicer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little more aero, but I don't know if that's $3,000 worth. It is a little bit more efficient. And I'm wondering if it's that aerodynamics that bumps the price up. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you think production costs would be, the guts are the same. You think
Hmm.
production costs would be the same. Now, in your research, did you find any major changes to the to the 2026 EV6 or
Nope, just pricing.
same battery pack, same
Which, I mean,
everything?
that's what we
Yeah.
saw that's what we saw for the Ioniq 5,
Yep.
was for 2026, the only real difference is I think you can get it in red now on the Ioniq 5, and they
Yep.
made it cheaper.
Yep.
Um,
I saw a red EV6 at one of our dealerships passing by yesterday. Are they on? I wonder if they're on the lot yet or not.
so EV6 has been available in red for a while.
Okay, so it may have been an older model,
Yeah,
so it may have been 24.
yeah.
I need to check that, so I was curious about it. Yeah, I mean, no other thoughts about this. I'm glad they're continuing it. I mean, the lowering of the price probably will not help the trade-in value of my car here in another year or two, but, I digress. I told my wife
You
about that. She was
digress.
like, "Oh, explicitive." So yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully, they're reducing the price so because they're making more money off it. They were able to, make it cheaper on their end. So yeah, be curious to see how well they sell. I mean, they said sales are down 46% this year.
But, of course, they've
So
also not really been available because there
they
hasn't been a
haven't.
2026 model year.
Yeah.
So, of
I
course,
don't
sales are
know
down.
either. So that's a good thing too. So I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully, maybe this will be enough to help it pick back up. We'll see.
Yep.
Um, I think Hyundai's had some luck. I think Hyundai's has
Yep.
picked back up some so far this year. Moving on. Let's talk about Toyota's global EV sales. So Toyota this week announced for EV sales numbers for the globe for the month of March, and it's a pretty substantial increase. So compared to March of 2025, Toyota saw a 139% growth for March of 2026, moving a little over 35,000 EVs in March 2026. Much of this growth is being attributed to the newly refreshed BZ, which in the US was the third best selling EV in Q1 2026, which was behind the Model 3 and Model Y, because those are pretty much always number one and number two. I say pretty much. I don't know that they've ever not been number one and number two. I'm just going to move on from that. You know, 35 grand is great and all that, but the automaker does still have a ways to go, just especially if we're talking in the global market. For comparison, BYD sold 147,000 purely electric vehicles in March of 2026, and this is one of those in the global market especially. It feels like there's new players like every week,
Yep.
and a lot of them have been doing pretty dang well.
Hmm.
So Toyota definitely still has room to grow. But it's exciting to see that they are growing, especially considering, as we've talked about previously, and we probably beat the horse dead at this point. I know it's beat a dead horse, but I think we've just beat it to death
Yeah, we
anyway.
beat a horse to death.
um, Toyota, for them to have been kind of felt like the anti-EV automaker for the last 3 years, seeing them kind of make this pivot to suddenly having good success and growing and all that jazz is refreshing to see.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this some more earlier on other episodes, but yeah, I mean, they made some changes too. The first one was not something spectacular. They made some changes. increased efficiency, increased the range, and Toyota just builds good cars. So if you're gonna buy a Toyota, then why not buy a BZ4X? I mean, or BZ, sorry, dropped the 4X. But yeah, I mean, and I guess they're getting a lot of people to switch to from their gas cars to their EVs. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are Toyota owners. I like to see if there's like a study on that, like how many of these buyers are former
Yeah, like what
Toyota.
is the brand
Yeah.
attrition like?
Is
Yeah.
it like 80% people that own Toyotas are buying the BZ? I'm sure a lot of these are in California. Toyota does very good in California. So I'm sure a lot of these sales are coming from California. We don't have a sales breakdown. But yeah, I mean, kudos. I like seeing these new players in the game. I like seeing this, and I like seeing Lexus, and I like seeing Trailseeker and Uncharted. I'm like that we're getting some new players in the game because some of the older players have kind of phased out a little. I mean,
Yeah.
Mach-E kind of phased out a little. We talked about
It's
EV6
still
only
here.
yeah, it's still here, but sales have phased out a little. So I'm glad to see we got some new fresh blood this year, and hopefully we'll get some more new fresh blood this year.
Yeah, moving on. This will be a short topic. I mainly just kind of wanted to have a little discussion on this one. GM has announced that the 2027 Blazer EV will be its third EV model to move to a NACS native port. And I don't have much else to say about that, but I do find it interesting that GM is very slowly moving to NACS. Currently, their only announced NACS models will be the Blazer, the Bolt, and the Optic. Meanwhile,
Yeah, I don't
the
know what's taking them
Lyric
so long to do this.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Lyric, the Escalade IQ, the Sierra EV, the Silverado EV, the Hummer EV, and the Equinox EV are all CCS, and even the Vistic, which was launched for the 2026 model year, is CCS.
Yep.
And I just would be very curious to know what the delay is in switching the other models. Of course, we still have time for 2027 model year stuff. They might have come out later and announced that all of those cars are going to NACS, but it just right now they've only announced 3 models, 2 of which are currently available with NACS and one that is coming soon. I have a small theory,
What's your
or at least
theory?
for a few of those models. So Escalade IQ, Sierra EV, Silverado EV, Hummer EV
Mm-hmm.
are all vehicles that need 800 volt charging to perform their best. Currently, there's not that many NACS chargers that are 800 volt capable.
Just the new Kias, the 2026 Kias, right? And Hyundais.
No, chargers.
Oh, Charger. Sorry, I thought you meant. I'm sorry, cars. Sorry.
So it'd be the V4 superchargers, of which there's not but a handful open now. There's finally more than one. But anyway, so I almost wondered maybe on those models specifically, are we seeing a little bit of a delay in switching them because for those models, your best charging is probably not at a Tesla supercharger.
Yep, that is true.
Um,
I mean,
but then
good
again,
point.
that might have nothing to do with it. It might just be down to part sourcing and supplier issues and just what legacy automaker slowness. I don't know.
Yeah, but another automaker making a late announcement about a 2026 model because
That's
we haven't
2027.
seen many 2026 any out here at all. So,
Well, this NACS announcement's for 2027.
gotcha. Okay, but still not many 2026 Blazers at all out here.
Yeah,
So,
which some of that might be boiled down to where we're at too. So.
yeah, we are in the South.
Yeah.
So,
You know.
we are. This is not the EV capital of the world. It's the barbecue capital of the world, but not the EV capital of the world. It's the catfish capital of the world. We could say that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can believe that.
You can
I
believe
don't know that we
catfish
can
capital
call
of the
ourselves the barbecue capital of the world.
Well, we got good barbecue.
It's like Texas and Tennessee and Kentucky and all those other states.
We're top 5.
Might have something to say about that.
We're top 5.
I don't even know if we're top 5, to be honest.
We'll do a whole
Anyway,
episode about barbecue later on.
Barbecue Geek
topic.
Studios. I don't know.
Barbecue. We'll do the Barbecue Geek series, yes. But yeah, I have nothing else to share with this. Kudos. Glad there's more NACS supported cars out there. And yeah.
Move on. Let's jump across the pond. Volkswagen has unveiled a new entry-level EV for the EU. So VW this week announced the ID Polo, and I can dig it. So the new ID Polo is a compact hatchback featuring a new design language for the brand, which VW is calling pure positive design. The exterior to me just feels like they looked at an early Volkswagen Golf and then made the ID Polo look like it, which is not a bad thing. I mean, I think it looks good, and
there we go.
I mean, I can 100% tell what they were going for. So kudos to them. On On the inside, the interior is very similar to what we saw was previously announced on the ID3 Neo, featuring Volkswagen's new infotainment system and buttons galore. It even includes a retro theme so that you can make it look like the gauges would look like a first-gen Golf and things like that, which is neat. I love little gimmicks like that. VW is claiming that the ID Polo is still a useful package utility-wise, offering 15.5 cubic feet of cargo space, which is similar to a BYD Dolphin and Renault 5. For powertrain, Volkswagen is offering 2 battery sizes. The large battery model, which will be the first to market, is a 52 kilowatt-hour NMC battery pack with a WLTP estimated driving range of 282 miles. With this pack, you get a 133 horsepower motor. The smaller pack, which will be coming later, is a 37 kilowatt hour LFP battery pack paired with a 114 horsepower motor. I did not see a range estimate for that, but I imagine it's not much.
I guess around about 200 probably, you think?
I don't even know if it'll be that much, but maybe.
Yep.
VW is also planning to introduce a GTI variant at some point, which will have
Ooh.
223 horsepower, which I know 223 doesn't sound like that much, but on a teeny tiny little car like this, that's a pretty decent amount of power.
Spin those
both
wheels, baby.
both battery packs will do 10 to 80% in roughly 23 minutes, which is fine. But like these are also tiny battery packs, so it still kind of feels long. I digress.
Yep.
Okay, let's finally bring up the price of this thing. So Volkswagen is going to be launching with a more expensive large battery variant and a higher trim level. The initial variant will be 33,795 euros, which is roughly 40,000 US dollars. Yikes. However, once the base model goes on sale, the price will be starting at 25,000 euros, which is roughly 30,000 US dollars. A little better. It still seems a little high to me. Especially compared to, I don't know, BYD Dolphin and some of these other models like that.
That are slowly taking over Europe.
Of course, we're never getting this in the US.
Yep.
I just kind of wanted to talk about it because I like seeing these. You know me, I'm a hatchback guy. I like little hatchbacks.
You do.
And so I did like seeing it. And I like seeing kind of the Volkswagen's movement into their new design language and their new interior layouts and doing buttons galore. I do still feel a little like they might have gone a little too button heavy. I think someone counted and there's like 17 buttons on the steering wheel, which is too many, but it's because literally every function is now its own button. There is no more even little capacitive things. It's
Did they
up and
fix
down,
the
a left, a right.
Are there actual physical buttons to wind down the back windows now too?
That's a great question.
I couldn't see him in that picture that we showed. I couldn't get in far enough, but
yeah. That is a great question, Joel.
Because that's one thing that's one thing that
Sebastian, it has 4 window switches.
Yes, that's one thing that drove Sebastian crazy. When we
it has 4 window switches. And looking at it, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 buttons on the steering wheel. I'm sorry, I lied to you.
What 19 functions do you need to do?
Well, it's up, down, left, right. There's 4. Select is 5. You got your cruise control on. You got volume up. You got volume down. You got a heated steering. It adds up.
Oh, they
very
put the
quickly.
They put all that on the thing.
Oh yeah,
it adds up steering wheel and all that's not on there.
And they do the 2 sets of controls, one for your driver screen and one for the infotainment screen. So then you have up, down, left, right, select on the right side of the steering wheel.
Yeah,
anyway.
Maybe a little too many buttons for me. I like a clean steering wheel for some reason.
And of course, it has actual climate controls and things like that, which is a good thing. Anyway, I'm excited to see these little cheap hatchbacks come. Eventually, maybe we'll get something like that in the US. That said, the new Bolt does start at $30,000. So, I mean, it's about the same price as an ID Polo, which then makes me really wonder why is the ID Polo the cost that it is.
Yeah.
But we also aren't going to get the Bolt for a long time, allegedly. So, Who knows?
Yeah.
Moving on. Kia's electric van is a bit of a hit. So since we're talking about Europe, I want to talk about the recently introduced PV5 electric van and how it's doing pretty well. The PV5 recently launched in the UK, and Kia expected to produce roughly 4,000 units of the van. However, just 4 months after its UK launch, they're almost sold out.
Wow.
So Kia has announced that they will be increasing the production estimate to 6,500 units. The vast majority of the vans sold so far have been the cargo variant, making up 77% of total sales, with the passenger versions making up obviously the remaining 23%. And really, I just kind of brought this up because people keep seeing the PV5 testing of the US with US modifications, like for,
Hmm.
amber Barker lights and things like that. Joel, do you think we're ever going to get this? And if we do you see a world where it is successful?
I could see us getting this for rideshare companies. I could see
Okay.
Uber or Waymo picking this up or Waymo picking up for a possible rideshare. I don't, you know, we only have three, basically, in the United States, we basically have three companies that make vans now. You have Toyota, Kia, and Honda. And basically that's it. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, you got Dodge too, but they don't really sell that many. But yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I'm going to say no.
So I don't see a passenger van being super
No.
successful. I could see the commercial variant being successful.
Mhm.
Um, Especially if they can get pricing right and kind of nail it. Right now we don't have that many electric delivery van options. We have the
No.
Rivian, we have the E-Transit, which does not move in very large numbers, and then I believe there's now the E-Sprinter, which doesn't move in very large numbers.
Mhm.
And I want to say there's an electric Ram van now. I
Hmm.
could be wrong on that. Let me look.
Yep. But
Um,
yeah, I mean, I'm on the Kia PV5 forum on Facebook, and those people over there just love this thing. I mean, it
yeah.
has
So there is.
had some quirks, but like I could see like a delivery dry cleaning company owning something like this, or a flower company who does delivery, a florist who does delivery, using something like this, or
Yeah.
like I
So
said, at Waymo.
there is indeed a ProMaster EV. I didn't know
Oh,
that.
cool.
Never seen one. Never heard of one. Um, so that tells you all you need to know there. Anyway, I could see if they can get pricing right, to kind of
Hmm.
undercut the EDV from Rivian and undercut those other models while being in a more, having a decent sized battery, decent range, whatever. I could see this being a good a good Amazon van, a good UPS last mile, FedEx last mile,
Yep.
whatever, or like you said, delivery vehicles for other
You
things.
don't think
Or
it'd be too small for Amazon?
uh, I think for like last mile stuff, I think it could
Okay.
work. I mean, because
Okay.
if you think about it, they currently like ours in Little Rock rents U-Hauls, rents the
Yeah.
little Chevy Express U-Haul vans and things like that. If it's
Or someone just
anywhere
randomly
near those
pulling up in a
prices,
Toyota Corolla delivering your Amazon
right?
package sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I think that could definitely have a place in last mile delivery. And I mean, and like you mentioned, I could also see it being if you are a contractor who typically stays within a bubble,
Mhm.
this could probably work for like a plumber
Yep, a painter.
who, if a plumber who does most of his service in Little Rock
Yep,
or in Benton or in Bryant, you don't necessarily drive to 17 houses in a day. You're not like, this could maybe be a great solution for you, or if you paint
totally
or
agree.
any type of contractor work. I could see a world, especially if it has maybe exportable power, things like that.
We could
Anyway,
plug into it and power a saw or a paint gun or something like that, so yeah, I mean, totally
yeah,
agree with that. I can see it for that.
if
I can see for that. If we could get people to buy into that, yeah, or
yeah,
companies to buy into that, but yeah,
if we
yeah,
get it in the US in the first place.
yep,
Of course, if we do get it in the US, of course I do want it to be successful because I want Kia to have a reason to bring it here and to bring other cool stuff here.
yep.
And to invest in our market. But I digress.
You digress.
All right, let's talk about our last official topic for the night. Let's talk about FSD Lite. So shortly after we talked last week, if you'll remember, if you watched last week's show, hi, thank you.
Yep.
We talked about how FSD finally kind of admitted that Hardware 3 can't do FSD. It won't ever be possible on Hardware 3, which is kind of what a lot of people knew and whatever, but I digress. Tesla has now kind of expanded on their plans for moving forward. They talked about they're going to be building micro factories to replace the computers and cameras, or allowing you to trade in and get a discount on a new car, things like that. Well, they've also announced some more information about the upcoming FSD version 14 Lite,
Hmm.
which is currently being developed for the US market, and Tesla is targeting June for release. However, you and I have been around for this long enough to know that Tesla estimated delivery times mean nothing.
Absolutely
Um,
nothing.
2 more weeks.
Still waiting on that
Anyway.
Roadster.
Golly. But yeah, so they're targeting June for release. And then Tesla has announced that following the US release, they plan to work on releasing this light version to other markets, pending any regulatory hurdles. Now, this is interesting to me because this is very shortly after they launched FSD in the Netherlands, which led to some outcry. Because in Tesla's European market, they're only offering FSD on hardware for cars. Which, when you consider that Tesla began allowing people to purchase FSD all the way back in 2019, is a bit of a problem, because that essentially alienates all these people who bought in before hardware 4 was even a twinkle in someone's eye. Like, you know what I mean? And that led to, there's been people kind of starting the process of trying to maybe take legal action against Tesla for not getting what they've paid for, things like that. And now, shortly after that has happened, this is announced. And I have just a little quick question. So, with the previous announcement that Hardware 3 can't do unsupervised FSD, do you think supervised FSD Lite is going to be enough to keep those customers happy?
Nope. They're going to want their car upgraded. They're going to want their car upgraded.
Yeah. And it's like, does Tesla putting all this effort into FSD Lite just as like a stopgap until they can upgrade cars?
Yeah.
Or are they actually expecting this to be a satisfactory resolution for these people with Hardware 3 cars who won't ever get true unsupervised FSD with Hardware 3?
I would say if I had my Tesla still and I could not get Hardware 4, they said, but we'll give you a light version, I'd be pissed. I would.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, you told me you're going to switch it out. You made the announcement you're going to switch it out for free. I'm going to keep my car. I have FSD. It's on my car. It was paid for, and I want my new, because it's a new computer. I mean, why not?
Yeah, it's a new computer. It's new cameras.
Would you rather get an operating system that runs a light version? Would you rather someone replace your computer? I mean,
right.
Yeah. So yeah. Would you rather have a computer that runs Chromebook software or Chromebook OS, or would you rather have Google, or, it just doesn't make sense. People aren't going to go for it. Now, you may get some people who really don't care about it and just want the upgrade or not planning on keeping their cars that long. But yeah, for the majority of people, they're going to want Hardware 4.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
All right, Joel, that's the last of our scripted topics. So let's move into the next little section where we just talk about what we've done and what was coming up.
Just random stuff. So yeah, Monday we released a video of cars you could find for under 25,000. So it was a pretty good video. I mean, it was weird because we had planned to do car reviews last weekend and it just rained. It didn't happen. So we talked to our buddy Colin at Evolve. We're like, hey, we're just going to come down there and see what we can find to film. We're going to think of something. And I didn't think of anything. You said, I have this idea. Why don't we just line up a bunch of cars for under 25,000? Because the used EV market is kind of, taking off right now. Gas
and we've been
prices,
talking a lot about it.
We've been talking a lot about it. So we talked about what you can get for under $25,000. And we talked about our cars and some other cars there. So if you're curious what anything from 15 to 25,000 will get you, check out that video. But it was a really cool, informative video. And then on Wednesday, I released a video about, I'm having a brain fart now. What was it about?
Tesla supercharging, BYD.
Oh, that's right. I was talking about the queuing system for Tesla superchargers, as well as we talked about the new flash charging from BYD. So just kind of talking about how charging is kind of evolving. Because we've seen issues where you had an issue where you were waiting on a Tesla supercharger and someone just pulled in front of you. Was that you?
Yeah, that was when we went to Austin.
As we went to Austin.
I guess
that's
not
what I
last
thought.
November for last. I was lined up at a Tesla supercharger and my Bolt. It was full. I was waiting for a spot to open up so I could charge.
Being a gentleman, yep.
And so I'm waiting. There's 2 Teslas lined up behind me. A spot opens up and 2 spots opened up at the same time, because it's funny how that works. And the 2 Teslas behind me darted around me and both pulled in and took a spot. Took the 2 open spots, and then I was still just sitting there.
Yep.
And I needed to be clear to the audience. I wasn't like, it was obvious that I was waiting for a charger. I was sitting in the middle of the lane. It's not like I was parked off to the side in a parking spot or anything. I was lined up in the middle of the lane waiting, and it was obvious enough because the 2 cars were lined up behind me.
Yep. Evidently, they thought you were
Um,
filling. It was at a gas station. Evidently, they thought you were getting gas. So,
I don't
which
know.
was yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I'd be
anyway,
curious how this Tesla queuing system works for Teslas. Like you are number 4 in queue, pull into
and
spot
now
2B.
I'm
So
curious, how does it work for non-Teslas?
I don't think it does because it's all based on. I think it's all based on the hardware. I think it's all. I don't know if it's based in the app or if it's based on the car. I think maybe both because you're not using the app while you're driving. So it would be
Right.
using the car's navigation that says,
And
"Hey,
so then if you pull up to a full station and you're doing a virtual queue and there's people waiting in the queue, but there's also a non-Tesla waiting who's not part of the queue because they
yep,
can't be part of the queue, when does the non-Tesla get to charge?
yeah." And how does the car know that your car is next in the queue? Like, how does the charger know that your car pulling in is the one that needs to be plugged into the queue? Because with Teslas, you just pull it and plug in. There's no pulling out the app or anything. So how are
Right.
they going to distinguish your car between another Tesla? Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
A
I
lot
don't
of
know if there's
questions.
yeah, a lot of questions. Then we talked about the BYD flash charging, which is just stupid fast. I mean, it's
And
just dumb.
now they're not the only one. I think
Yep.
CATL announced, it might have been today. I don't know how that didn't make it in the document. Might have been today that they have their own now chemistry and new
Yep.
battery tech to do the similar performance.
Add that to things
Um,
we will not see in the US for a while. So yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All these cars we talked about tonight, half of them we won't see in the US. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and you talked a little bit in the episode too, just talking about it's like we're kind of at this point where we have Tesla, who's really seems to be kind of focusing on now with V4, they technically are doing 500 kilowatt charging, but they still have tons of V3 sites, and we're not
yep.
seeing those upgraded yet.
Finally
And
getting our V2 upgraded here in Little Rock finally.
I know it's crazy.
Took
I'm still
forever.
curious.
Yeah.
Are we getting an actual V4? Is the question.
I doubt. It's Arkansas.
I don't
You're
know.
getting a V, yeah. We'll see.
I think they've stopped building V3 hardware, so who knows?
We can play around with it. It'd be cool.
Anyway, but it's just curious, this is Tesla's move. They're moving to a virtual queuing system to try to help alleviate issues rather than maybe just increasing, making a bigger push to increase charge ports, something like that. Well, not to say that Tesla isn't doing that. I mean, Tesla still operates the biggest network of the US. They're
Mhm.
still expanding. They're still all that jazz. Um, but we have that on one end. Then we have like overseas, we have BYD, whose goal for increasing throughput is to just get you in and out as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And then we have Iona, who's putting in ultra high fast, super fast
Yep.
charging, 400 kilowatt chargers, but they're doing more of a recharger. They have the rechargeries where you have a
Yep.
lounge area and whatever, or attaching to a KCs or a Circle K or whatever.
Yep.
So it's just kind of interesting to see the three bubbles of EV charging right
The
now.
3 different approaches. Yeah.
And I would kind of fit like we have Walmart doing EV charging and doing the same 400 kilowatt stations and all that. And they're at a Walmart. So you're obviously supposed to go in and shop at
Yep.
Walmart while you're charging.
So
So
question for
they're
you.
kind of
So
also taking the lounge approach.
I checked out the eTravelers video. He was talking about the new Walmart charger we got here. Has Walmart always done off-demand peak charging where they have different rates?
No.
Because he said that the one he visited it was high. It was 55 cents a kilowatt.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was no, I lie. That wasn't that one. That was non-Teslas at the new Tesla charging station in Northwest Arkansas was 55 cents a kilowatt if you didn't have the Tesla pricing plan,
Which is
the
pretty pricey for a Tesla
which is the
supercharger.
highest I have seen. I mean, I probably paid in my car 42, 45 cents because I don't have the subscription plan when I charge a Tesla. I thought 55 was high, but they did have off-peak charging for that, which brought it down to 39 if you charged off-peak, which I guess Tesla is now rolling to more and more now. So we should
which
see
I've
about
seen
that.
that before.
Yeah.
And we've seen, Walmart's done this at some of the locations, and then other locations are flat priced.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just interesting to kind of watch this development and what have you. Let's see, non-Tesla.
It's nice to see in states like us, the infrastructure, especially like here in Arkansas, is starting to pick up. Like we're getting Ionas, we're getting more Tesla superchargers. It's starting to, I mean, we'll have within a 15-mile radius of each other coming north to south and through Little Rock, you'll have probably after Buc-ee's is done 3 Tesla superchargers. So I can remember we had 3 Tesla superchargers in the state. So yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll have 3 within a 15-mile radius, north and
Yeah.
south of each other. So it's
So
expanding, which is well. So
just so that we can be clear or have accurate data in here for anyone who might care, the Rogers supercharger, the Rogers Arkansas supercharger, if you have a Tesla or a membership, the on-peak rate is 38 cents a kilowatt hour, and the off-peak rate is 23 cents a kilowatt
that's
hour.
not bad.
If you are a non-Tesla and non-Tesla charging member, you are at 53 cents
53,
on
sorry.
peak and 32 cents off peak. And
That's
it
a
looks
big
like
difference.
off peak is from 10 p.m. to 7 or to 8 a.m. It looks like.
Oh, so you can charge early in the morning and get off peak. That's interesting. I thought it would stop around 6.
So anyway, but yeah, so I mean that is a pretty.
Have we
usually
seen
it's like
pricing for the Walmart chargers in Arkansas? I haven't. I didn't.
since they've
realize-
opened their new ones. I'm not sure. Since they've rebuilt that one and it's no longer free, and now they have multiple up there. Let's see,
Northwest Arkansas is kind of exploding with. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, we if you guys aren't following the Arkansas e-Traveler, he does a great job to letting you know about, especially about Walmart chargers, because they're exploding everywhere. I mean, there's permits galore. He has a new video every week that just talks about new permits, new charging. So check out Arkansas e-Traveler. He doesn't just talk about Arkansas; he talks about them everywhere. That's kind of his niche, just Walmart chargers. So pretty cool video. Which is odd because we're not getting a lot more in Arkansas. That's if you guys don't know, Walmart is headquarters in Northwest Arkansas. And I think we just got our first one. We only have like one or two here in Arkansas, but Texas is blowing up. Florida's blowing up
now.
We got more in Arkansas now?
Yeah, it's loading.
Okay,
I don't
good.
love the Walmart app.
No,
That's
it's
a topic
kind of
for a different episode.
That's another topic for another episode.
So they now have, it looks like 1, 2, 3. Okay, they have currently have, it looks like 2 open that are Walmart EV charging, and then 1, 2, 3 that are listed as coming soon.
Where are those
in Northwest Arkansas?
So they're gonna have 5 up in Northwest Arkansas?
Yeah, so there's 3 coming soon to Bentonville.
That's their headquarters.
They have one that just opened in Rogers.
Mhm.
I think it's like one exit down from the EA station up there, which that EA station is hot garbage. RIP.
Yep.
May it not rest in peace. Anyway, and then there's the Elm Springs and Springdale, the one that used to be the beta site and is now the Alpatronic HYC 400s, and they are 44 cents a kilowatt hour.
That's not bad.
And off peak, 32 cents a kilowatt hour.
Yep. Now, I read an article that popped up that some of these units are going to have full-fledged, like long, big, huge screens. Where did I see that at?
Oh, is that the ABB A400s? The different units?
Let me check. Talks amongst yourselves.
Because, yeah, Walmart has been putting in, so HYC 400 in a lot of places, and then other markets, which it seems almost regional, but I don't know that anyone's ever been able to confirm that it is actually regional. They've been installing ABB A400 units, which are still 400 kilowatt units, but they have gigantic screens on the front of them and a slightly different cable cooling philosophy and things like that.
Let me share this real quick. This is on the Reddit. But yeah, they look quite different. Share screen, boom, share. So that's what they look like. So that's
that's the ABB A400.
Okay, gotcha.
Um,
So we did have our first incident at Iona where the screen went out too. We were doing a video last week. I don't think we talked about that. Yep. We'll have to stop by there this Saturday and see if it's fixed. So be curious.
Sure it is. Maybe it's not, but I'm sure it is.
Maybe it's not. So we had to move.
And I would love to tell you about what we're doing next weekend, but I don't know. Or next week, but I don't know yet.
We have some cars we're trying to get reviews on this weekend. If not, you may see me and Sebastian's face on here on Monday doing a video. But yeah, you have to put up with us.
We did record a 10 to 80 session on my Ioniq 5. We can talk about that a little bit. And ultimately, on paper, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It took it 18 minutes exactly, like 18 minutes and 0 seconds to go from 10 to 80%.
But it wasn't perfect.
But the charge curve was weird.
Yeah. I was just sharing that with our buddy Crispo. I was talking before him. He's getting ready to do an Ioniq video, and I told him to send the charge curve, and it was odd looking.
Yeah, I was like, I've never done a true just 10 to 80 charge. You know, it's like 12 to 80. I've done
Mhm.
like 6 to 80, whatever. I've done 6 to 100.
Yep.
Anyway, but I'd never done an actual like just 10 to 80 flat out.
Mhm.
And so at first I was like, oh, cool. So it legitimately was 18 minutes. But then really looking at the graph, I'm just like, why did it's weird. And so this past weekend, my family went to Memphis. We took Bionic 5, obviously.
He went to the zoo.
And we went to the zoo. Of course we did.
Gotta
We
stop at
also
a
went
zoo.
to Children's Museum of Memphis, which was cool. They have a 727 in there that you can climb around in the cockpit and all that. It's pretty neat.
Cool.
Anyway, so we did that and then we came back. But on my way up there, the first stop, I stopped at like 14% and we charged to like 80% before we left. Just because it's so quick, you might as well just wait to 80. There's no
Mhm.
sense in really unplugging early, right? And it 14 to 80 was also no, that one was I got there at like 7 or 8%, and it was also 18 minutes.
It didn't have the dip like
So
we had?
no, and so that was kind of what I was when on that charge session we had. I didn't feel like it was perfect. We
Mhm.
didn't get to the 230-ish kilowatt peak that it's supposed to get until like almost 40%.
Yeah, I think it was like I thought it was somewhere between 30 and 40%, yeah.
And in theory, the car was preconditioned, the car was
Mhm.
happy, like whatever, but it was
It was a hot
weird.
day.
And then at like 55%, it dipped to 130, 140 kilowatts.
Mhm.
This is not the Memphis trip. This was a trip this was just the one you and I
Video we
did.
did, yeah.
Yeah. So it started off kind of low. It hit 240 around 40% or 235 around 40%. Around 55%, it dipped to like 130 kilowatts. At 60%, it jumped back up to 180.
Yep.
And then the session went
70.
normal after that point
Yep.
until it hit 80%, and then we
Yeah.
turned it off. But my trip this weekend, so like I plugged it in at like 8%, and it immediately pulled 230 kilowatts.
Yeah.
And then the curve was more normal, like it didn't have any weird dips in it, but then it still took 18 minutes.
Yep.
And so then on the way back home, I was just, when we stopped and I was curious, I think we got there at like 20%. I plugged it in and only got 150 kilowatts. And it
Yeah,
took it a
I was
second
trying to
and then
explain
got up
that to
to,
Chris. I was trying to explain that to Chris. He's like, when do I need to plug in to get max charging? I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure because we're getting different data when we plug in.
yeah.
We're not, and I don't know
But
if it's the
even
charger, it's the
then,
car. It's the car, I believe. So
yeah, even then, so it started off weirdly low. Eventually, I wasn't 100% paying attention on this one. Eventually, it did hit 235, like expected, and it got to 80% in 18 minutes.
18
I think it was like
minutes.
18 minutes and 2 seconds this time,
I wonder if it
which is weird.
just figures 18 minutes and I'm going to figure out the
It's
easiest
like,
way and most efficient way to get there. So,
I don't know, and it's
yeah.
weird. But then, so it does all this, and some of the theory we had was like, is it like trying to do cell balancing? Is
Yep.
it whatever? But we know when they do cell balancing. They do cell balancing at 81%.
They're set. Boo! That's
Because then they
Korea
dip to
siesta.
3 kilowatt. They do
Yeah.
3 kilowatts until you get to like 85%
And
or
then it jumps back
83 or
up.
84%. And then they go back to pulling like 150 kilowatts. Which again, if you're pulling 150 kilowatts at 86%, why the heck on the day we did it was it pulling 150 at 60?
I wonder if on Saturday we could possibly do this. Take my car down there and see what happens.
Yeah, because you have a 2022.
I got a
Could be interesting.
2022. So we may do that. If we
Both
can't
need
get
to
the
run our
cars to review, we
low
may
and
do
see
that.
if,
We could do a comparison video. If it does actually 18%, I have to drive around and get
And-
my car down to 20% because it's not
Yeah.
close to that.
And I
But
mean, really, we just need to record both of our sessions so that we can put it on a graph and see what it looks
Yep.
like and see how it
So, yeah.
averages out. Because really, that's kind of like I have that recorded and I want to release it, but I feel like after seeing what I saw this weekend, I need more sessions
We need
with
more
actual
data.
logging and data so we could try to figure out what the heck is happening.
Yep. So if anyone has any ideas, issues, drop it in the comments. We'd love to know. We got a lot of people who own EV6s and Ioniq 5s.
Because obviously, I know there's other videos out there of charge curves on Ioniq 5 or whatever. I don't know that anyone has ever really done it beyond that first charge because it looks good.
Yeah.
Right? But now I'm sitting here like, if every session is slightly different with the same end
time is
result,
the same. It's weird.
how well,
Yeah.
what? And so that's kind of where I was
The
like, I
car
feel like
can't
I
be
need to
that
do more than
smart and
just.
figure, I'm at 5%, I'm at 15%. What do I need to do to make it 18
Yeah, it's like,
minutes? And I'm going to do
there's
that.
no way the car's doing calculus. Like, come on
No,
now.
we're not doing
The
A
car's
squared
not
plus B
doing.
squared equals C squared. It's not doing that. So
Yeah, the car's not doing calculus every time we plug it in. So
yes.
what's happening here?
Yep. Yep.
Is it
Interesting.
just
So
coincidence that each of those sessions was still 18 minutes and they all three were maybe trash
sounds like
sessions?
we need
I
a
don't
third
know.
one. So
And so yeah, it's like I
we
feel like
may
we
be
just
doing a
need to do
third
this
one on
over and over
Sebastian's
again
car this again. Yep.
and graphing it all and just
Yep.
really comparing and actually honestly maybe even scrapping the entire first video we recorded and literally just sitting in front of the computer, camera, talking about it, looking at graphs and just trying to talk through what the heck we saw. I
Yep.
don't know.
Yep.
Anyway, so that will come out eventually.
Yep. But we need more data. That is true. So
Yeah.
I think that's it. That's all I got on my end. Nothing spectacular happening on my end. I do. Oh, by the way, if you ever crack your windshield in your Kia EV9, you'll need a small loan if you're not claiming it on your insurance to get it fixed. So yeah. So coming back from my son had a call. We visited a college this weekend up in northeast Arkansas, and coming back, and a huge rock hit the car. I mean, the chip was it was huge. Scheduled an appointment. Literally, this happened on Saturday. I was like, let me get an appointment Sunday to get the chip fixed. That happened Friday. Woke up. We didn't touch the car all week. Woke up Saturday. No, it was Saturday. Woke up Sunday, looked at it. Everything looked good. No problems. Looked the same. Monday morning, wife took my car. I get in the car, and now it's a 6-inch long crack. So
yeah.
It's a $2,300 windshield repair. Evidently I don't know if it's your car, but evidently for those cars, they got to take off the A-pillars to replace the windshield.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yes, and I've seen issues online where companies have not put the A-pillars back on correctly, and they have flown off.
Lovely.
So that is why. No, I will tell you this: it's not labor. The windshield alone is $1,800.
Yeah.
So, and there is no aftermarket windshield right now. I called 3 different people, got about the same quote within $100, $150 of each other. There's no aftermarket windshield. So you can't get like an $800 windshield. Not available here. You got to get the Kia glass. It took a week for me to get it in. So the crack is now 3 feet long, and it's like right here while you're driving. So my wife has had to do this while she drives. But yeah, before we do any content on Saturday, we'll be dropping it off to get that fixed. But luckily, it's just that we had to end up doing an insurance claim. I didn't want to because, I don't have $2,300 just laying around. So we had to do an insurance claim. So yeah.
I just for comparison, when I did the windshield on my Bolt, it was $600, and that's including labor and glass. And the Bolt's got a pretty big windshield. Like,
when I had to get my Model Y one redone, I got a little discount because I went through Revolve, and they had an aftermarket windshield, and it was probably $800. $850. Yeah. So, which I thought was good.
Like some factory tinting on the top of the windshield and things like that. It has like a factory eyebrow, which I think is nice.
I did find out this though. If you have the GT line, which has the heads-up display, you're talking over $3,000 because they got to use a special glass,
special coating. Yep.
Yeah, that's some money.
Yeah,
that's some money.
That's some money.
That's some money. That's some money. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you all for plugging into the Friday Charge. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you're listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your audio enjoyment, make sure you follow us on there. Leave us a rating, comment, like, thumbs up, whatever the app uses. They're all a little different, but it does help us grow, and we do see it. So with that all out of the way, so long, everyone, and we will see you on the next episode of The Friday Charge.